Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here, youtube.com/Steven Larson. We've got a variety of reward tiers over on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steven Larson. So check that out. And then we're also available as a YouTube membership channel thing where you can go. I don't know what my problem is today. It's weird. I sort of lost my rhythm there. So
we tried playing 2K20. That'll do it.
Dude, it broke my brain, I swear. Anyway, speaking of the Patreon, that is where we get the video questions that will appear on today's Matt Chat. We do it every week, and if you want to be involved in that, if you want your video question to run right here on Matt Chat, it's $20 a month on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steven Larson. We have a bunch of reward tiers over there, including all sorts of bonus episodes. This week, as you just mentioned, we played some WWE 2K20.
Tried to.
Oh my God, the game is
It's
broken beyond belief, but it still can be a little bit of fun. So yeah, there you go.
Anyways. First question from Christopher Rampersad. Let's see what he has to say.
Hello, Steven Larson. So what is the best and worst moment of the WWE of this year?
Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you, Christopher. All right, man, I'll go first.
Yeah.
You got a couple of good answers here, but I'll go in a slightly different direction. I'm going to say I actually really enjoyed, even though I fully understand that the creative aspect of it wasn't like perfect, and there were some stumbles to it. By the time we got to WrestleMania this year, the main event, Becky, Ronda, Charlotte, I thought they gave it a big match feel, big fight feel. It was pretty intriguing to see which way they were going to go in terms of how they were going to book that match and what the finish was going to be like. And even the finish was a little bit botchy, thanks to an awkward pin attempt. But I thought that the women main eventing WrestleMania this year, I thought was a high spot for me. It was, like I said, I thought it elevated the star of Becky Lynch. I thought Ronda Rousey during her run more than proved that she could be a big star in the WWE. It accomplished the goal of shining a big spotlight on the women's division. I thought it was actually a pretty terrific match. And in terms of worst moments for me, I think it can be sort of summed up. It's a bunch of stuff, but it could be summed up when there was that really weird brief period of time. It was like a couple weeks when Vince didn't want wrestling to happen during commercials. After, what has it been, 25 years of Raw, right? And decades of wrestling that he was producing prior to that, like 2 decades or so. He all of a sudden decides in the year 2019, after never having done this before, no wrestling during commercials. And so the writers and the producers had to figure out, okay, well, how do we do that and not have a bunch of 3-minute matches? So like all the matches at that point became 2 out of 3 falls or elimination for no reason on camera. Like we just knew this because of the dirt sheets and stuff. Yeah. They just would do that. All of a sudden, The complete format of wrestling as we know it changed entirely. And it was the most stupid thing. And that right there is a microcosm of a larger issue in that Vince McMahon is still micromanaging every little aspect of his shows, even though he is way out of his league. He's way out of touch doing that, and that's the biggest problem. That extends to other things like what you're going to mention. I won't mention that one because you're going to mention it. But that extends to other things like Brock Lesnar being booked to be the champion and then just disappearing from TV. That's totally okay to have no world championship on TV. He'll push people for like a couple of weeks and then decide, oh yeah, I'm not really into them. So all the people that might have been invested in Cedric Alexander, Humberto Carrillo, whoever, we're now going to bring that back. EC3, I book him in an impossible position to take on the departing Dean Ambrose. I don't like how the crowd reacts, so I'm going to literally keep him off TV for the entirety of the year. It's Vince McMahon and his maddening little decisions that really just kill the product. No long-term vision. There you go. That's what I got to say.
All right, good answers. I think for me, the best moment of the year was Kofi Kingston after 11 years in the company.
It's a great one.
finally not only getting his title shot, but getting his title shot at WrestleMania and getting that title shot at WrestleMania and winning.
Yep.
I won't say they booked this story to perfection. They managed to ride the momentum that Kofi got behind him following that gauntlet match to see who was going to be first Elimination Chamber after Mustafa Ali got hurt. And they found a way to put roadblocks in Kofi's way that, for the most part, built his momentum rather than halted it. That was like the one thing that kind of bothered me about Becky's build to Mania, was that anytime a McMahon would get involved to put a roadblock in her path, it was confusing. It seemed completely unnecessary. Whereas in Kofi's case, it was kind of in many respects his career in microcosm played out in the span of like 2 months.
Yeah,
where he reaches a certain level of success, a roadblock's put in front of him. And we are seeing that all play out in the build to Mania. He finally secured that spot and had a killer match against Daniel Bryan. And in terms of heartwarming moments, historical moments, for me, that was tops.
Yep.
Not to take anything away from the women main eventing. That was spectacular. Huge deal. That was great, too. But I think, I don't know, just seeing Kofi, his story, he seems like a really good dude.
Yeah, he does.
And it's good to see people who work hard, who are good people, get rewarded for their hard work.
I agree.
And being decent folks. Worst one for me, it's a wild card rule. When Vince comes out and announces that.
Oh, it's horrible.
And you're like, what the heck? And then in the span of half hour, they violate the rule.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, only 3 stars. Oh, no, well, make it 5.
Yeah.
Or 4 or 5, whatever case it was.
Literally within the same show.
Yeah, within like the same hour, they violated the rules of their own rule.
Oh my God!
And it's like, why? I mean, it's a cheap stunt to get ratings up. I understand, because ratings were in the toilet.
It didn't work. It's like just the most desperate,
totally
panicky, transparent
and we had to sit through every time someone swapped brands back and close, saying, "Oh, they're here because of wild card rule." It was the same people on both shows all the time.
Yeah.
And it just bogged down creative. It was garbage.
Yeah.
It made the shows worse.
Yeah, it did.
Way worse.
It did.
And I'm happy. Like the best.
Did it even improve ratings?
No. It might have, like, for a week or two, but no.
Terrible.
It was crap.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And it was like for the middle part of the year, it was bogged down this wild card garbage. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point where they didn't mention it, but you'd have like 15 people cross brands in the course of an episode.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have a rule, stick to the rules of your rule. And if you're not going to stick to the rules of your rule, don't have the goddamn rule.
Yeah.
And it was.
Didn't they have like, it was like a lumberjack match or something where like everybody.
It was like 12 people from Raw or 12 people from SmackDown run Raw.
Oh man, yeah. This seemed like a particularly bad year for Vince's weird Vinceisms.
I know.
Didn't it? Like because
he's desperate.
It's the desperate panicky thing. Like ratings are at an all-time low, and it's just. But this year in particular, it was just really bad.
It's rather than look in the mirror and evaluate what he's been doing, he just goes deeper and deeper into his well of gimmicks.
Yeah.
To try to get himself out of the situation. There's no plan to how to turn things over long term.
A Band-Aid
to adjust the problem.
A Band-Aid is not going to address any of these issues that are at the core of the problem of your product.
No.
None of them will.
None of them whatsoever.
Anyways, good question. Noah, who's next?
Next, a question from the Enforcer, Stevie Bradley and Mr. Dope.
Oh, yeah, they got together.
Might be my favorite question of the week.
Oh, man, I love
Coming
this.
to you from Joe's Crab Shack.
Heck yeah, man.
Take it away, gentlemen.
What's good, friendos?
What's going down? It's the Enforcer, Stevie Bradley.
And your boy, Mr. Dope, with another match chat question.
Absolutely. We want to talk about The Fiend, Sarah Logan. We want to talk about Liv Morgan, possibilities, what could happen.
Is she going back to the Riot Squad, or is she going to be Sister Abigail? Let us know.
Or Sisters Abigail, all 3 of them together with The Fiend. Let us know. Talk about it. Too sweet, hearty handshake, and a too good, brother.
Thank you, Mr. Dope, and thank you, Stevie Bradley.
Thank you both.
I know a lot of people want there to be a Sister Abigail there with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Have a wrestler be repackaged or debut with Sister Abigail. And I guess I understand why that would people be excited about it. I know people talk about Liv Morgan now because she's going through repackage, and I get it. I think people want to see wrestlers they like in positions where they can succeed. That being said, I have basically no interest and Sister Abigail being made, as a wrestler. I don't care. I like it more as an idea, as a philosophical idea, as a source of motivation for Bray and nothing else. It enhances the mythology of the character, and I think if you have someone come back, remember that time where he was going to cosplay as Sister Abigail in the Shooting Us a Fiend, and it was. I mean, thankfully he got sick. We didn't see any more of it.
Yeah,
because that was terrible.
Yeah,
that was bad.
Yeah,
I like it more just as to borrow a part of Randy Orton's gimmick, a voice in his head.
Yeah,
something that's informing him on decisions he makes, that inspires him, that scares him, that he's maybe not entirely in control of.
Sorry.
I feel like that enhances the mythology, and you run the risk of introducing someone as Sister Abigail. You run the risk of lessening that mythology if you don't hit that right. If you hit it wrong, it takes the air out of Sister Abigail completely. But if a situation arises where they feel like they have to do it and they have a good plan creatively to do it, I don't want anybody I've seen before.
Yeah.
Because if you see Liv Morgan come out as Sister Abigail, you're like, well, that's just Liv Morgan. Why wasn't she Sister Abigail 2 years ago?
Yeah.
It's the Braun Strowman situation where he joined the Wyatt family. You hadn't seen him on TV before. And it made more of an impact as opposed to they had taken, I don't know, somebody else from NXT or the main roster and repackaged him and had him join the Wyatt family. Just give me somebody new who
doesn't already have an established story or persona.
Doesn't have an established character or persona, and it's a clean slate.
Yeah. Will there be a Sister Abigail? I'm kind of with you in that. I mean, look, she's been established as being, I think we can gather that she was his legit sister, and she died, right?
No, she was a nun.
Oh, was she a nun?
Yeah.
But she's dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And and that was Randy Orton burned down. That's where her remains were. Okay. So, I mean, I'm fine with that just being that. Like, that's part of his backstory, and it's okay. We don't need a person. That being said, I am totally open. Like you said, I'm totally open to somebody being like, he has that little doll that's like the female fiend. I'm totally open to somebody taking that as their persona and competing and being basically his Harley Quinn to his Joker. So I would totally be fine with that. I would even be fine as long as there was a storyline motivation. I mean, right now, the motivation or the idea behind the Fiend is he changes whomever he touches. So I would be fine. Like we talked about this earlier this week or last week. We said, hey, how cool would it have been? Oh, for the TLC thing. How cool would it have been if Daniel Bryan came back as the personification of the Fiend while Bray Wyatt was just Bray Wyatt, Firefly Funhouse? And so I'd be okay if there was like a female version of the Fiend that he somehow, but we'd have to see if it's like Liv Morgan. Let's say Liv Morgan's going through this whole like crisis of identity thing and she starts going one direction, but that's kind of like a red herring for him coming in and on camera having some impact on her where she does fall in line with his, his Fiend stuff. I would be okay with it. I think that I'll put it this way. I think that the decisions that Bray Wyatt has made creatively for his character have worked so far. And I think that I would trust him to handle something like that, in a manner that I think is well executed. So I'm not opposed to him having other people under his influence, the general idea of it, if it's executed properly. However, the idea that, Liv should be Sister Abigail. I mean, I get why people want to do that. I think that she does sort of have a Harley Quinn vibe. There are some Joker sort of superficial Joker qualities to his Fiend mask. I get why people want that. That being said, just to shove her out there all of a sudden, it wouldn't make any sense. Like it wouldn't make any sense. So as long as it makes sense, I'm not opposed to any of these ideas. It's just,
it has to make sense.
It's got to make sense, and too often it doesn't.
Yep.
Too often they just put it out there.
Yep.
I always like the idea of him taking on the persona of Sister Abigail because it was different. It just in execution,
it was bad.
The small stuff that we saw didn't look terribly good. No. Who knows? Maybe if the measles wouldn't have broken out or mumps, whatever it was. If that hadn't happened, maybe it would have been cool. But then we had Pumpkin Balor too. That looked bad.
It didn't look like it was going in a direction that was going to be fun.
Yeah. So, anyways, moving on. Patrick Sparks, the B-Man, is up next. He's got a question about Roman Reigns. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey friendos, Pat here at work. Gotta make it quick. So, right now, Roman's probably gonna win the Rumble, and he's probably gonna beat the Fiend at Mania. So, are people gonna rebel against that? Because it's kind of a repeat of, Roman Brock main event Mania all the time. Yeah. So, are people actually gonna be okay with that, even after the leukemia thing? He's doing really good. What are they gonna think? What do you guys think? And who from what brand should win each Rumble? Keith Lee. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Patrick Sparks.
Thank you, B-Man.
I go first.
No, you do. Wait. Yeah, you do. Sorry.
So I'm going to say this, man. Would the fans turn on Roman? Would they be against it beating the Fiend at Mania? I think you and I sort of have the same answer here, so feel free to hop in. But I think that, like we just said, if Bray is sort of like spearheading how this would go down, I kind of feel like the Bray-Randy Orton thing back in the day started out as a lot of Bray and then was sort of co-opted maybe by Vince, and that's why it landed on that big turd. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. But I kind of feel like if they're able to establish the Fiend as having some sort of weakness, and honestly, they'd need to do it over a longer span of time than 4 or 5 months. Mm-hmm. But like if they're going to establish the Fiend as having some sort of weakness, we need to see Roman like come to the realization of how to exploit that weakness. So there's that. I think that if there's anything less than a compelling story behind it, I think the fans, they would. I do not get the sense from the fans right now that they feel Roman's being shoved down our throats.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And in fact, I do really wonder, and this is simply because, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I saw something briefly on Twitter about like betting odds being in favor of Roman taking on The Rock at WrestleMania. I have no idea how that would happen with the Hollywood commitments and the insurance stuff.
Yeah. Who knows?
Like but I guess it's always possible. Rock is a big deal. Maybe he can be in control of that. I don't know. But I do kind of wonder if they would, and I would prefer to see this, keep Roman in feuds that are like either above the title, away for the title, not Baron Corbin, but something that's bigger for him.
Yes. And
keep him away for the title for now. And I think eventually it would get to the point organically where the fans would want to see that so much.
Yeah.
They would want to see that.
Yeah. No,
and have the Fiend just keep on. I think, who would be perfect for the Fiend? I know they're not going to do it because he's in a tag team situation because Xavier Woods is injured, but Kofi Kingston. Mm-hmm. Like, Kofi should be challenging for that title.
Yeah, no.
And you could do so much with that.
Yeah.
So, and then who from each branch should win each Rumble? I'll go with this. I think it'd be awesome if Seth Rollins, as the heel, won the Rumble on Raw this year, and then he could come back around to Brock Lesnar, maybe try to get Brock to be a face. I mean, you could do that by having the Authors of Pain attack him.
Yeah. Even then, it's hard to pick Brock as an underdog.
And no, it totally is. But, a super powered up Seth as a heel with the AOP, and Brock is already super powered up.
Yeah.
And the motivation can be something completely different beyond you're never here.
Yeah.
His motivation obviously be a bit more selfish, perhaps.
Yeah.
You'll never be the locker room leader. I don't know.
Or I can't really be the leader unless I'm carrying the gold.
Right, exactly. He already has 2 wins over Brock this year. So I think I'd be okay with that. Especially if he got a lot of heat by stealing that victory from somebody else. Also, I would like to see this, if we're going with Raw Superstars, I would say this. Have Asuka take that title off of Becky at the Rumble. Mm-hmm. Like Kyrie, as soon as the bell rings, ref gets distracted by Kyrie.
Green
missed. Boom. And that would floor the crowd.
Yeah.
That would completely floor the crowd. And then your build for Mania would be Becky wins Rumble. In the same manner like last year how it happened.
Yeah.
She loses to Asuka, puts herself in the Rumble because of Lana again, and she's doing something with Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
Becky wins, and then we get Asuka versus Becky at Mania. She picks her belt back up there. I think that could be a lot of fun. On SmackDown, I would have the guy who had his opportunity snatched from him last year, Mustafa Ali. The crowd would be completely behind that.
Yeah.
He takes on Brock Lesnar as the underdog. That would be a lot of fun.
No, he'd be taking on Bray Wyatt.
He takes on Bray Wyatt. There's another win for the Fiend right there because, Mustafa Ali's not going to be the guy that takes it off him.
Yeah.
But man, The
That'd be a
crowd would be
story,
huge
yeah.
behind that.
Yeah.
Sasha on SmackDown would go on and take on Bayley. And then NXT, you and I are in the same answer here. Keith Lee, and then I say Shayna Baszler. She wins the Rumble to take on Rhea Ripley.
So as far as going back to the Roman discussion, it all really depends on creative. And just because Roman wins the Rumble and gets a shot at the Fiend, I mean, if they really want to play it right, you have Roman win the Rumble. He takes on the Fiend at Mania, but loses. But in the process of losing, he gets his first clue of how he can maybe beat the Fiend. You make this a year-long deal.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Come back around to it the following year, where maybe after a year of studying and learning and getting to the heart of who and what the Fiend is, he finds that weakness he can exploit in the match and finally beat him.
Yeah.
Take your time with it.
Sure.
Don't rush it for the sake of rushing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if the Fiend were to beat Roman this year, I don't think the crowd would necessarily rebel against it. I don't think they rebel against Roman winning the Rumble at the time. And certainly wouldn't in hindsight should he lose to the Fiend. As far as Rumble winners on Raw, give me Kevin Owens. I want Kevin Owens versus Brock at Mania.
Great answer.
Give me that. Asuka. Becky does beat her at the Rumble. Asuka wins the Rumble to prove to herself and to Becky that she still has Becky's number. On SmackDown, yeah, let Roman win. I think Roman versus Fiend has a lot of interesting story ideas. They have history, a lot to mine there. Do it. Just don't have Roman win necessarily. Agreed, Sasha should totally win the Rumble from SmackDown. Her versus Bayley on WrestleMania. Hell yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
As far as NXT, Keith Lee. I want to see him pounce someone out of the ring.
That'd be great.
And then I'm going with Io Shirai, just because she's awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
Io versus Rhea Ripley.
That'd be killer.
Man.
That'd be killer.
Awesome. Next, got a question from Guion Halili.
Jacksonville's number one.
Hey there, friendos. This is Jacksonville's number one Matt Chatter, Guion Halili, back with another Matt Chat question. A bit under the weather this week because it's hot and cold here in Florida. But anyways, my Matt Chat question is this. I don't have anything that has to do with what's going on with wrestling storylines this week. So, if social media was available in the 80s and 90s and even the mid-aughts, you know, like how rampant it is now, which superstars would have used it to their advantage and which superstars would have been trouble with social media? Give me your thoughts. Too sweet, too good. Later, guys.
Thank you, Guion.
Thank you, Guillaume.
All right, this is what I got. As far as the good, I mean, these guys are all kind of good now.
Yeah.
Stone Cold, I think he would have been pretty good on Twitter because it would have been a less is more approach.
Yeah.
He would have been on there tweeting all the time, but when he would, it'd be awesome.
So here's the thing. You can kind of look at, because all those old dudes, a lot of those old dudes, they have Twitter.
Yeah.
You can see it right now.
Yeah.
Who's good at it and who's not so good at it. So continue with your list, because I like your list.
And then The Rock.
He'd be great.
He'd be hilarious.
He'd be awesome.
Do a bunch of shit talking on Twitter. And then finally, Kevin Nash.
He'd be great.
Yeah.
He'd be great, yeah.
The bad. Hulk Hogan.
Again, I'm pretty sure he eulogized Bam Margera on his Twitter feed.
Not dead, though.
But he's not dead.
No.
No.
Scott Steiner.
It's surprising that he's not on Twitter.
Well, it's probably good for him. He's not on Twitter.
Maybe. Yeah, sure.
And then finally, kind of both good and bad, maybe Sid.
Yes.
I can see it going either way.
Yeah.
It could be fun or it could be an absolute nightmare.
You know who I think Sid would be the one guy who does, like, Scott Hall doesn't do this anymore, but it took him so long to figure out Twitter that he'd be tweeting out what are meant to be DMs to women.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that'd be Sid even back then at like whatever 30 years old or 35.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Stephen M has a question. Let's see.
You want to give your answers?
Oh, no, that was just a discussion. Your answers are great.
Oh, okay.
I have here for good on Twitter, Owen Hart.
Oh, he would a blast. He was a funny guy.
Bad on Twitter, Bret Hart.
Well, you know.
It would be all subtweeting, just blasting people. And people be like, Brett, who are you talking about? You could be talking about any number of people.
Well, you know.
Well, you know, that's for me to know. You know. What?
Says you're vexing me, Brett.
Talking about Vince.
Does he know that?
Yeah. Yeah, I told him. Next up, Stephen M has a question. Let's see what he has to say.
Everyone knows. What are the best thrown together spur of the moment matches that happened on cards, like top 10 best thrown together matches, say the likes of Balor and AJ, like be it circumstance or just made on the day.
Thank you, Stephen M.
Thank you, Stephen M. I don't know how many. I can't think off the top of my head like how many matches have been thrown together. He mentioned AJ versus Finn. I'll be honest, that's going to be my number one because it's like, it's Bullet Club versus Bullet Club.
Yeah, and I felt like that match kind of got by more on the mystique of Bullet Club versus Bullet Club.
It was a decent match.
It wasn't a bad match.
It was a decent
But
match.
I
It
remember
wasn't like a
watching
takeover level
No, I
match.
remember watching it thinking, that's fine.
Yeah.
And if this is like the appetizer to a larger story, I'd be fine with it. But knowing the likelihood that we weren't going to do anything else with it beyond that, I was like, I kind of feel like they maybe could have done more with it. But it was put together last minute, and AJ
Somebody was sick, right?
Yeah, AJ had food poisoning, I think, and he just flown in from South America. I'm going to say this isn't exactly thrown together last minute, but I think they had to put together within the span of a week. Ronda versus Charlotte Survivor Series last year.
Yeah.
And I know they just kind of copy and pasted a lot of the beats from what the Becky Ronda match probably would have been.
It was a good match.
But it was still a good match.
Yeah, that was.
And they kind of, it was that match I think more than anything that after watching that you're like, all right, if Charlotte's in the main event at Mania with Becky and Ronda, that's cool.
Oh, I have a recent example actually now that I think about it, and it's not like a big thrown together thing. But when Roderick Strong had to, Bobby Fish got injured on NXT, and Roderick Strong came out.
That's actually a definition of a thrown together thing when he has to
in his jeans and like dress shoes, and he had him, and it was still a killer match that was like almost perfect. Oh my god, so good.
It's good stuff.
So good.
Next, Double J, ain't he great?
What's up, Steve? Hey, Larson. It's Double J. I've just been sitting here listening to Drake, thinking about past loves. And my question is, where the hell is Nia Jax? And what does she do when she comes back? All right, take it easy.
Thank you, Double J.
Thank you, Double J. You go first.
I believe Nia is out recuperating from double knee surgery. They made one of the storylines on Total Divas. I didn't watch a lot of it, but my wife watches it, so I've seen bits and pieces here. I believe, and again, this is just from seeing bits and pieces, that she wrestled at Mania with minus 2 ACLs.
Yeah.
And then had surgery right after, and has been recuperating since. So what are we at? 8 months in.
What
So
that feels like
probably not good.
Probably not good
because the ACL is the tendon or ligament through the middle of your knee that gives it stability.
Yeah.
Like an up and down.
Yeah.
So that probably sucked.
Probably.
What we need from Nia though is a feud against Becky Lynch. We really haven't gotten that. They had a little back and forth at the Rumble. We need a real feud.
Yeah, they really let Becky like humiliate her a little bit.
Yes.
After that whole botched, inadvertently iconic punch.
Yeah. So give us the real feud.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I'm not terribly interested in Nia Jax, so I have two answers. The only two answers that I think would be, well, one answer I really like, and the other answer like it'd fit into where I care about her. Number one, she could be sort of the Braun Strowman, like she just become the women's celebrity wrestler person, like at WrestleMania, because she's a
she
big
bullies
dominant
the celebrities that come in.
Yeah. I mean that'd be fitting. And then, and I like this better. You run with what was teased with Moxley, and you have her join the men's division. I think it'd be pretty revolutionary. They'd never do it, but I would actually be interested in Nia Jax if she joined the men's division. I think that could actually be a lot of fun. It could be interesting. They'd obviously have to be kind of careful with it, but I think that would be a blast. I really do.
Oh, it'd be fun, but they'll never do it.
No.
I got a trio of text questions to close the show today. First, from Joshua Martinez. If you had to choose, which wrestler's Christmas party would you attend?
Easy, RVD.
I'm not an orgy guy.
Yeah. Be all about it. Even just to watch.
Seems awkward.
Oh, man, it'd be great.
Seems awkward.
All right, well, to each their own. What lame party do you want to go
it's
to?
New Day, man.
Is there going to be a live sex show there? Probably not.
No, but I don't want to be there for a live sex show.
Lame.
I'm going to go to the New Day's party, man. Listen to their podcast.
New Day? That'd be good, too.
New Day seems like really good dudes.
Yeah, probably.
They're the conversation would be great. I love me some pancakes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, give me the New Day party.
All right, fair enough. I don't think you're cool enough to hang out with them, though.
Oh, I know I'm not.
I'm definitely cool enough to hang out with RVD.
You would be like weirded out within 15 minutes of being there.
I'd love it. It'd be great. It'd be like, you smell that butt smell.
Yeah.
And
next,
weed.
from Luis Fariza, if you can go back and change the result of one wrestling match, what match would it be? And he also wants to know, which sandwich chain has best sandwiches. So as far as a match, I'd want to change the end to Team WWE versus Team Nexus. So Nexus gets that W.
I wonder how much the course of history would be changed.
I mean, I don't know.
Probably not a lot.
Not a ton.
They had so many opportunities to like sort of make good on that, and they just
never
didn't.
did.
They never did.
No, they never did. So I don't know if it really changed the course of history a ton, but
it's a pretty big stain.
Yeah, it is, especially on John Cena's legacy. As far as best sandwich,
What chain has the best sandwich?
I believe it's a local chain, so maybe that's not the answer he's looking for. It's this local chain called Superb Sandwiches.
Oh.
I think there's 3 or 4 of them, at least just in this general area, and they're very good.
All right. I have Denny's Moons Over My Hammy. That's an actual chain. It's not a sandwich shop, but they have sandwiches there. That sandwich is so fucking nasty.
I've never had one.
I mean, it's just a big ball of grease, and it's awesome.
It's just buttered bread, toasted ham, cheese, and
egg.
Yeah,
man, you got that right. Let's see here. So as far as changing the result of one wrestling match, I really wish somehow, some way, Bret Hart knew about the finish to the Montreal Screwjob back in 1997, and he doesn't tell anybody. And I don't know how he would. How do you think Bret would have handled if he found out about the Montreal Screwjob?
It would have been the situation that you wanted at WrestleMania 13, where he'd break Shawn Michaels' foot and stand over him and say "F you." That's what it would have been.
I think so. Yeah. Wait, Shawn's in on this? Oh man, I'm actually kind of happy. I get to do this now. Goes in there, throws him to the ground,
breaks his ankle,
and then walks out. The WCW.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be good.
Vince, I'm gonna take this belt with me.
I'm taking it with me. I'm gonna throw it in the garbage. Nowadays I'm borderline. Whenever I do Bret, I'm borderline Aleister Black.
Yeah, I know. Finally, Hadley Doodley Champ says this question comes from Shafty. Says, build the ultimate holiday stable. Need someone to be Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the 8 reindeer. Name it 2 if there's time. I feel like Braun Strowman's got to be Santa at this point.
Yeah, well, he already played an elf once.
Yeah,
so
he's
graduated
graduated to Santa.
Be Santa now.
And then Alexa Bliss would be Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, they made a cute couple.
Yeah, they have good chemistry together.
They have good chemistry together.
So I have the names of the reindeers here from 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Oh, great.
And so we just go through it. So Dasher, who's someone who's really fast.
Mustafa Ali.
All right. Dancer.
Carmella.
Good. Prancer.
Who prances? What is prancing? Isn't it sort of la la la?
I guess I don't know.
What is the prance? Prance. A move with high springy steps.
So who walks with a spring in their step?
Yeah, okay. Of a person to walk or move around with an ostentatious, exaggerated movements. Vince.
Yeah, Vince.
He prances to the ring.
Vixen.
Somebody who's, isn't that like mysterious? Somebody who.
Well, Vixen is usually.
No, Vexes is that.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
a
yeah,
Vixen? Vixen definition. Oh, it's like a female fox is a vixen.
Yeah.
Okay. Alicia Fox.
Okay.
All right.
Comet. Again, someone fast. Oh, Aerostar.
Aerostar. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Cupid.
Who's the love?
Eric Young.
Eric Young. The love doctor. Okay.
Yeah. Dunder.
That's like an idiot, right?
I think so.
Dunce. Like Eugene.
Okay. Oh, gosh. Blixen.
Blix. I don't know what a Blixen is.
I thought it was Blitzen.
Blitzen? Either way. Blitzed, blotto, drunk. Who's on the sauce, man?
Jeff Hardy. Oh, gosh. All right, there you go.
That's Match Chat for the day. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Gosh.
Talk to you guys later.
Goodbye.